Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one, about OP's sister, who had an affair and got pregnant. Well, her husband gave her an ultimatum, him or the child. So OP was the one adopting her nephew. But now OP's sister refuses to have contact with OP. Listen to the story to find out all the details, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My sister was having a long and ongoing affair with her manager at the bank. It came out to both families when the manager's wife caught them in the act. At the time, my sister was 2 months pregnant. Word got back to my brother-in-law, and this whole drama happened. My sister and her husband have chosen to stay together for their kids. The bank manager and his wife got a divorce. The child my sister was pregnant with was not her husband's. He was going to divorce her if she kept it, and the bank manager chose not to have either because of religious beliefs. At this point, it was too late for an A, so they opted to put him up for adoption. My brother and I deliberated on who would adopt him rather than going into the system. I decided to do it because I'm well off financially and can support a child. My partner was also pushing for me to do it, saying he would help out financially however he could. We're not married, just dating. Andre is now my son and is 8 months old. I do love the kid. He is such a sweet baby. He doesn't cry like most babies do for no reason. The doctor told us he's just chill. He mostly grunts when he wants food. He'll cry when he's tired. My sister won't even talk to me and stopped around 6 months ago. I figured it was a stage, but she threw the gauntlet down over Christmas. She told my mother that she won't come if I'm there with Andre. My mother told her to grow up and that she's not alienating anyone. My sister didn't come at all for Christmas. That caused some tears from my parents not being able to see some of their grandchildren. My sister won't reply to any text or call. I'm pretty sure she's blocked my number and social media, and I'm just wondering what to do, because if this is going to become a thing where my sister alienates the family because she doesn't want to deal with me and Andre, then how many family gatherings and birthdays are going to become a cluster? My parents are fighting over it. My dad is on my side, and my mother wants to see the other kids. What to do? Well, looks like OP's sister is sticking her head in the sand and doesn't want to face the reality. What OP did has only helped her sister and her nephew. It's not OP's fault that her sister's not happy about the decision she made in life. She was a grown-up married woman when she decided to cheat on her husband and give up her child after getting pregnant. So she has only herself to blame. Nobody forced her to do that. She chose to keep her husband instead of her child. So OP should try and not pay attention, in my opinion. I know it's not easy, but I don't think there's anything OP can do in this situation. Don't you think so, guys? I, 28 female, was recently diagnosed with breast cancer. It was thankfully found in the early stages, and I was told with surgery and chemo I should be okay. One of the things I was told to avoid was alcohol, since I will begin treatment and various drugs obviously don't mix well. Due to the timing of my diagnosis and it being the holidays, me and my husband haven't told my family about this yet. We're waiting until I start chemo to tell everyone. Anyway, my younger sister is pregnant, and she had the gender reveal last weekend. Despite me thinking it's irresponsible to have any sort of alcohol around a pregnant woman, it was being served at the party. My sister and myself, along with a few elderly family members, were the only ones not drinking. I guess one of my sister's friends caught on to this and told her, because the next thing I know, she's coming up to me asking if I was pregnant. Thankfully, no one really heard her since she was trying to be quiet. I told her I wasn't. She knows I'm child-free and don't plan on having children. She asked me again if I was pregnant, and once again I said no. She told me if I wasn't pregnant, then to drink a beer in front of her and prove it. I don't owe her anything, and told her as much, and she began yelling at me that I was ruining her gender reveal by showing up pregnant and stealing the moment from her. At this point, people started to look at us. She kept yelling at me until her husband came and asked me if I was pregnant, trying to calm my sister. By this point, I was just annoyed and yelled out that I have cancer, and that's why I'm not drinking. Well, the mood went sour after that, and a lot of people at the party started to give my sister looks while her husband apologized to me. Me and my husband left soon after since it was awkward, and people were giving me their condolences and that pitying look people get when they know you have a serious illness. The day after, my mother called me telling me I should have just drank at the party because I ruined my sister's gender reveal, and now everyone is worried about me and mad at my sister about pushing me to drink. I told my mother it was my sister's fault for pushing her crazy ideas, and she knows I don't plan on having kids ever. Most of our family and friends are on my side, but a few older relatives and my sister's friends have been saying that I did this on purpose for attention, and that if I have cancer, I could have just drank a beer and been done with it, since I wasn't pregnant. I'm just so incredibly pissed off right now, and so is my husband. We're even considering avoiding the family Christmas party next week, because everyone knows and I don't want to be pitied, and have my sister and mom glaring at me over something that isn't my fault. I honestly don't feel like I did anything wrong, but did I? Should I have just disregarded it and had one drink to satisfy them? No one would know I had cancer if I did. I'm just so tired. Edit. Cancer runs in my family. It's one of the reasons I'm child-free. So does alcoholism. My mother's an alcoholic, my grandmother. Some of my aunts and uncles also drink excessively. And my sister is getting there. I think this pregnancy is the longest she's been without a drink. Edit 2. In my family, the only valid excuse not to drink at a gathering is being underage or a pregnancy. Especially in my mother's eyes. She still hasn't forgiven me for my lack of drinking and not giving her grandchildren. Wow. You know what shocked me the most, guys? OP's mother, who said that OP should just drink. She knows that it wouldn't be good for OP's health and still thought it was a good idea. Well, it's clear who OP's mother favors more. Clearly OP's sister. I would be so hurt if that would be my mother. Also, when someone is not drinking, the proper etiquette is to respect it. OP's sister acted very disrespectful towards OP and made herself look bad in front of everyone. So she reaps what she sows. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Distinct Buffalo says, "Not the a-hole. Even if you weren't drinking due to being pregnant, your sister and mother are being ridiculous. So your sister's irrational feelings are more important than your health? Their priorities are way out of whack." Quick Answer says, "Not the a-hole. Your sister is a paranoid idiot, and she did this entirely to herself." I3XG says, "Not the a-hole. Your mom called to complain you ruined your sister's party with your cancer diagnosis? I wouldn't go to the party and probably put your mom on ice for a bit. That's pretty horrible that was her reaction." My husband and I, 26 female, got married 3 weeks ago. My husband is from South Africa, but I'm French. So our wedding in the savannah in South Africa was a huge trip for the 13 French guests. We rented a beautiful lodge where you see lions, elephants, etc. And to thank everyone for coming all this way, we rented it for 2 days. Day 1, wedding. Day 2, pool party. We invited only 30 people, the people we love. I had a huge argument with my aunt, 38 female, 8 years ago, and we cut ties ever since. But doing the invitations, I thought about how close we used to be. I decided to invite her. There was no +1 for anyone, so I only invited my aunt. Not her partner or her kids, since I barely knew their names. My aunt said she was happy but insisted that we invite them. I told her no, but my mom teamed with her and pressured me a lot during the year. I explained that the ceremony meant everything to us and that we only want people we love to be present. But my aunt booked flights for her, but also for her family. She said it was a family trip, but added that she heard some of my guests canceled, and so that there's now space for her family. I told her that it would not be happening, but that her family could join us for the pool party the next day. After that, I got even more pressured by my mom into inviting them for the wedding itself, because they are coming all this way. But I kept refusing and tried to finish my dress without my mom. On the big day, after the ceremony, my husband and I left for an hour in the savannah with the photographers to make a few photos. As soon as we came back to the lodge, my aunt came to me, smirking. She was holding her kid. Her partner was behind her. I'm not the scandal type. I didn't know how to react. In my disbelief, I kissed the kid hello and shook hands with her partner. I immediately felt sad for not defending myself. I then heard my mom and grandma telling my aunt about the extra chairs and food we had, and that her family must stay for dinner. My sister lied for me, saying we don't have enough chairs because some are broken. So my aunt announced that they were leaving. I asked why she was leaving with them. She was supposed to stay for the dinner, and they were only 5 minutes away. She replied that she never intended to stay for dinner, but that she will spend time with us when they come back tomorrow for the pool party. I was shocked. I replied that I had a change of plans, and that she and her family could not come for the next day anymore. My mom, usually lovely, lost it, and told me that I had no right to cancel my aunt's invitation to the pool party. I reminded her that we paid for the whole wedding ourselves, and that she has no say in who I host, and I walked away. But she yelled at my back in front of everyone. She was screaming that the conversation was not over, and that I better come back. My sister had to physically bar my mom from running after me. I still stood my ground and kept my aunt from coming back the next day. Am I the a-hole? Well, there are a lot of people saying that OP was rude to invite a person without +1 because it's a destination wedding and such a long journey. But I personally think it's OP's wedding and her decision, and Auntie could have said no if she was uncomfortable traveling alone. Also, I would say OP is not in the wrong here, just because of how much pressure everyone was putting on her when she made it clear. But OP's aunt wasn't required to attend the dinner that her family wasn't invited to. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Quinn Good says, not the a-hole. There was absolutely no reason that the child and partner could not have stayed at the hotel, lodge, while aunt was at the wedding and dinner. Your aunt and her lovely sister, your mother, who didn't pay for anything associated with the wedding, were out of line. Kudos to your sister for having your back. Active Weird says, everyone sucks here. This is petty. France to South Africa is a trek your aunt perhaps didn't want to make alone. It's wild to me when people have really difficult wedding locations and don't seem to appreciate the effort, time, and expense it takes for guests to attend. Of course, your aunt was impolite here. She asked, you said no. That should have been that. It's an awkward situation. Everyone was inflexible, and everyone sucks here. Important Revenue says, everyone sucks here. You for inviting someone to a destination wedding without a +1, with no regard for the time, effort, and expense involved for them, and the fact that that might be their only opportunity for a family holiday in that year. Your aunt for not simply declining the invite if she didn't like the terms. No one should have put pressure on or made a scene. Me, male 45, and Mary, female 45, had 3 kids before divorcing. Our children are 16 and 14, B and G, twins. We divorced when the twins were 3, and our oldest was 5. Mary remarried when the kids were 8 and 6 to Major, who is a career serviceman in the United States Navy. It's been hard. She has custody and I pay child support and see them when I can. Major gets relocated every year or so my kids are always moving around. I've always lived in Louisiana, and in the last 8 years, my kids have lived in Oklahoma, Germany, Japan, and Washington, D.C. When they lived in Germany and Japan, I couldn't afford to fly over and see them, so I only got to see them at summer break and Christmas when Major paid for their flights out. I call them 3 times a week, and we text often, video chat when we can. I work on an oil rig, so I'm frequently out of range, but I make an effort to be there for my kids. Recently, Major and Mary video chatted me, and Major asked if he could adopt my children. He said that 16 will be going to college soon, and if Major adopts him, then the GI Bill will help pay for his tuition. Major also wants to do this for 14 and 14 when they're ready for college. He told me 16 applied for dependency benefits, but was denied them. Major and Mary think they'll have a better chance if Major is more than a stepdad. I said no and hung up. Mary emailed me later and said it would be in name only. I'd still be my kid's father. She told me that I don't make nearly enough to help with college, and she doesn't want the kids being sunk with debt the day after graduation. I've asked my kids what they want. 16 just wants to go to college. 14 and 14 don't care either way. For what it's worth, the kids have a good relationship with Major. He isn't a bad guy. I just don't like him because he uproots my kids. Am I the a-hole for not letting Major adopt my kids? Edit. My oldest wants to be a teacher, math and science. He's very smart. He's going to get some scholarships, but not a lot of them. He's graduating in the spring, early, and hopes to be in college by next August. Oracle 5 of 7 says, no a-holes. I understand not wanting to give up your kids, even on paper. Totally get it. But I also see the logic of your ex. Can you afford college for the 3 kids? Remember, this is all about the kids, not you, Major or ex. Competitive T says, no, absolutely not. Allowing him to adopt your children means you will be giving up your parental rights as a father. Your ex and Major would be able to move your kids overseas permanently, and there would be nothing you could do about it. If you weren't in their lives, that would be one thing, but you're their father. Don't let go of that. Now is the time for planning to apply for scholarships. There are thousands of them, many exclusive to children from divorced parents. You just have to be creative and do a lot of research. The kids may want to live with you at some point in the future, and they can if they want. Your ex-wife may have custody, but your children, from the age of 14, are allowed to choose who they want to live with. Having the military pay for college is not a good enough reason to sign away your parental rights. YMMV Butt says, no a-hole. You should nail down how much money is on the table and where it's coming from. Are they talking about $80,000 or more like $8,000? There are a number of financial benefits for military families, but I don't think the GI Bill for dependents is a very good example because it's very limited. However, if this offer was made in the spirit of how best to provide for the kids versus how best to get control of the kids, you should think about it. Talk to a lawyer about how to protect your interests. Backstory is that my wife slept with another guy when she went on a trip for a bachelorette party 2 years ago. Wife got caught after one of her friends sent me a video of wife with another guy. When wife came back, she arrived at an empty house. We had a huge argument. She begged me to take her back. The entire family on both sides found out about her cheating. My family was heated and wanted me to leave her. Ended up staying together for my daughters. Fast forward 2 years, she started to gain my trust. Some of the things I demanded were her phone to be monitored, tracker on her car and phone, no trips allowed without me. Just last week, I allowed her to go out with her friends for the first time. Before anyone says I'm being way too controlling, these were the conditions I put on the table. If she didn't want to agree with them or thought they were too harsh, I told her divorce was the other option. Last night, my older sister was watching the little ones because we were finishing up some shopping. Apparently, my sister told my daughters how my wife was bad and cheated on dad. Wife found out after my younger daughter asked her about her trip to Nashville from 2 years ago. Wife is very upset and has been crying nonstop. I personally didn't want them to find out through my sister, but I don't feel as mad or upset as my wife. Wife said that I needed to defend her, and she can't keep taking this pain. Talked with sister on the phone, and she explained that my daughters asked why her mommy and daddy weren't living together for a month. She said that she told them because she thought my wife was an awful person. My family hates my wife, but they tolerate her for the kids. My sister hates my wife with a passion and doesn't even acknowledge her presence. Does my wife have the right to be mad in this situation? How do I handle my wife? Winterfront 1431 says, "She shouldn't have cheated. I don't agree with your sister telling her because your wife and you should have said something when you split. I also don't think it's healthy to stay with someone just for your kids when you don't forgive her and everyone hates her. Life must be a crap storm for them. I think it is better to come from a broken home than to live in one." Frodo's B says, "If you're going to take someone back after cheating, it should be with the goal of repairing the damage and getting to a better place. It sounds more like no one is going to forgive or work towards reconciliation. So why are you doing this? To teach your kids what a dysfunctional relationship looks like?" Darth Kaideus says, "You can't have it both ways. If you decide to stay with her, then you have to find a way to forgive her at some point and work towards a relationship. If you cannot, then divorce. You do not need her permission to do so. Your sister should not have gotten the children involved without your say-so. Also, your family cannot be bad-mouthing her to the kids either. She cheated, but you have not mentioned that she is a bad parent. My advice would be either divorce or make a genuine attempt at a relationship. Staying together for the kids is actually worse for the kids. Better 2 happy parents living separately than 2 unhappy ones under the same roof, giving the kids a bad example of how a relationship works."